Hello, my name is Temitope Olodo and thank you for actually watching AIL TV. You know that this program is actually for you. We're looking at the issue of security across Africa. There is need for government to look at the issue of terrorism properly. I want you to write to me. Tell me what you think we should be talking about so that we could deal with it. But not only that, let's get involved because we're going to be starting live streaming very soon and we want you to get involved. Hello, welcome to African Security. My name is Temitope Olodo and I'm pleased to have you on board today. Today we'll be concentrating solely on Boko Haram, this deadliest African security menace that is giving African countries a lot of headache, particularly countries surrounding Nigeria like Cameroon, Chad. So we need to look into this group and actually really understand what is happening. Now the news making the rounds now is that Shekal Abubakar is dead. Now, there's controversy surrounding that, and those are the issues that we're going to be looking into. Why, is it that two governments are now looking, claiming, claiming that they actually were responsible for killing him? The Cameroonian military are claiming victory, the Nigerian military are claiming victory. But before going into that, let's actually ask ourselves the question, is this guy really dead? This is Boko Haram within the last 6 to 7 months have killed over 6,000 Nigerians and counting. And they've made themselves shoot up to the top in terms of killing, becoming a killing machine. And that's the reason why we really need to look at this group and actually examine this individual. 2013, Nigerian military actually claimed that they killed this individual, and then it resurfaced again, taunting them. And then recently they said, oh, we're going to kill him, and they've actually never got to, doing it. And now they're claiming that they've killed him. Now, you all remember that when Saddam Hussein was killed, the Americans actually were able to verify, through his DNA, if he was actually the individual that they were looking for, the most wanted man in the world. Now, Shekal Abubakar is actually one of the most wanted men in Africa. And you will have wondered, at least believe, that the Nigerian government will have samples of his DNA, or if not the DNA of his family members. Why is it taking so long for them to be able to verify? We've seen pictures posted on on the internet. We've seen YouTube footage of a man claimed to be him, being surrounded by security operatives. But what is happening now is a complete silence, both from the Nigerian authority and the Cameroonians with regard to this individual. They have not provided us with additional information on him being alive or him being the individual that they have captured. There are people that are actually saying, on Twitter, who are close to the organization, reporters, that is not actually the one that has actually been killed. That is his double that have been killed. And many are wondering, when is this Boko Haram menace going to end? When is this guy going to be brought to book? And the main reason why this is quite important is because is killing this individual going to end the surge of Boko Haram? Is killing this individual going to put an end to the inter-country attack that is going on, through the hands of Boko Haram? They're going into Cameroon, and killing. They're coming into Nigeria and killing. They're going into Chad and killing. They're in Niger. 4 countries they've penetrated. And the question then is, how do we stop this individual? How do we stop this organization from continuing with their senseless killing? This is what we're going to be talking about. This is what we're talking about right here on AIL TV. And I'm pleased that you're, are listening and, sending us questions and asking us lots of questions about this. The issue is, and the issue still remains, that Boko Haram is a very dangerous organization. And killing the head of Boko Haram will not actually, lead to the end of Boko Haram, because there are many faces to Boko Haram. There's the political side of Boko Haram, there's the religious aspect of Boko Haram, there's the socio-economic aspect of Boko Haram, and we need to deal with all this, because taking this one man out of the picture will not end this. The Nigerian government have actually stated clearly that they intend to end the issue of Boko Haram by 2014. Now, what we don't know is this possible? Research has shown that dealing with the issue of terrorism and eradicating terrorism completely will take close to 14 years. Now, if the Nigerian government are saying that they will deal with this issue in 100 days, then we have something to do with. So we should be waiting to see how this pans out. But what is clear, the question that we need to ask is Sheku Abubakar dead? Is he really dead? Is it a myth? Is it reality? Is his death going to be the end, to Boko Haram? These are questions that many are asking. Many loved ones, are asking, because many people have lost, they've lost their brothers, sisters, wife, husband, and they really want justice. It would have really been good to have him captured alive so that he could reveal the sponsors of Boko Haram. But we don't know if he's alive or not at the moment, because the Nigerian government has not verified, and they're saying they are waiting to give us the good news. The Cameroonian sources have come out to say he is the one. So who is right? Who is wrong? Is Sheku Abubakar really dead? We are waiting. Like I mentioned earlier, the question is, who should actually claim victory for the killing of Sheku Abubakar? Who should claim victory for the death of the Boko Haram leader? Now, the Cameroonians have actually come out to say clearly that they were responsible for his death, that they actually entered into the Nigerian territory and actually caused this victory, or actually got this victory. The Nigerian government has come out fighting that nobody entered into their territory, and that indeed they actually are responsible for his death. But the question here is, after the Paris summit, where certain goals were set and decisions were reached about the release of battalion, at least one battalion each by the countries affected, the question we should be asking is, does it really matter who killed the Boko Haram leader? Does it really matter? What really matters is that this guy is captured, or this organization is destroyed, or actually made disabled, so that they do not continue with their killing spree. That's what really matters. It doesn't matter if it was the Cameroonian. It doesn't really matter if it was the Nigerian military. But this actually then brings up lots of questions, because if as we know of recent, that the Nigerian military were disarmed by the Cameroonians for crossing over their border in pursuit of Boko Haram, and that actually caused a lot of controversy. And the Nigerians were complaining proud to the Paris summit that the Cameroonians were not actually helping them on this matter. Now, the question then we need to be asking is, why is it that there is this, fight to claim glory? We have seen this even within Nigerian, among Nigerian security services, where they are not actually working together. And there is an history to this, because every country that have gone through security challenges have actually had these challenges. And the reason I'm saying this is because if you remember vividly, when the Americans, after the 9/11, it was actually found, it was discovered that a lot of these security services actually had information about some of these terrorists that were responsible for 9/11, but they were not sharing information, and that resulted in the 9/11. The same happened with the July 7 incident in London, and we know that it was as a result of this that the Office for Security and Counterterrorism was set up in the UK. and which led to the establishment of the contest strategy, which is used, to combat terrorism. Now, in Nigeria, they actually claim that they have a book or strategy on terrorism, but nobody have seen it. I've not seen it, and I'm not sure of anybody outside the security services that have seen it. But then the question is, how can we assist these intergovernment agencies to work together? How can we, how could these interagencies work together to deliver, the wishes of the Nigerian people or the West African people? Because Boko Haram is no longer a Nigerian problem. It's now a West African problem. It's now a world problem, because we've seen incidents here in Woolwich. We've seen, incidents, we know as a fact that Boko Haram was actually praising ISIS. We know that they've got training from Somalia. We know that they've been to Mali. So the question then is, what is really happening? How is this, is this happening that the Cameroonians, the Nigerians are both claiming victory for the death of Boko Haram leader, and yet they are not working together? What actually came out of the Paris summit? What were the tasks? What were the actions, the deliverables that actually came out from that summit? And how had that been delivered? Who is monitoring delivery? Who is evaluating, the tasks that each of these countries are meant to deliver? And why is it that even after the Paris summit, there are still loggerheads? There is still, this interfighting. The Nigerian, president was in Niger recently, and he had a meeting with his counterpart. How is this happening? What about the border security? These are all the questions that many Nigerians, many Cameroonians, and many West African are asking, and many people around the world. And that's the reason why we feel that this question needs to be asked. As mentioned earlier, we've looked into the issue of the Boko Haram leaders being killed. We don't know if he's been killed or not, because although the Cameroonians and Nigerians are claiming victory, for this for the death, yet we don't have any concrete evidence of that. We don't know if it's the double. We don't know if he's really killed. But let's go back now and look at the morale of the Nigerian soldiers. 12 of them was actually sentenced to death by firing squad, and a lot have been said in the media about this. Why did this happen? This mutiny, by these soldiers who apparently had to, attempted to kill their commanding officer because he insisted that they had to travel through a particular road which they felt was not safe for them. And as you know, in the military, it's obey first before complain, and as a result they had to travel and lost some of their colleagues along the way. And on getting back to the barracks, when their commanding officer actually surfaced, they decided to take law into their hands. Now, mutiny is defined as organized, is an organized disobedience. Is an organized attempt, of mutiny, of this behavior. And the question then is, was this an organized act, or was this just individuals that were indisciplined, who decided to take the law into their hands because they were frustrated? Now, why will I use the word frustrated? These guys were frustrated because we know from reports that some of them are not well kitted. We know that a former governor or sitting governor in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria, actually went on record to say that Boko Haram is more equipped than the Nigerian military. We know that the Americans, through reports in the newspaper, are actually asking questions about procurement of equipment by the Nigerian military, and the fact that a lot of people are getting concerned about the fact that money is being diverted elsewhere. We know that a plane was loaded with $9.3 million and flew into South Africa and seized by the by the South African authority. Now the Nigerians have come out, Nigerian government have come out to say that the money was meant for military equipment, and but if there was an agreement signed between the Nigerian government and the South African government, why is it that this plane, loaded with raw cash, 9.3 million, was stopped? And why is it that after almost a week, the South African government is still, holding this money, and this issue is not resolved? There is more to this issue, that meets the eye, and a lot of Nigerian, legislators are asking questions. There was a walkout in Nigeria House of Representatives on this matter. They were not happy with the way, they were prevented from debating this matter, and that then raised a lot of questions that military personnel, are not comfortable. They're not happy about their treatment. They're not getting warm food. They're not getting lots of things that they're supposed to get, and that might be responsible for their behavior. Now, should they be excused for what they have done? Should they be punished? Of course they should be punished, because that professionalism needs to be maintained. But is killing these 12 soldiers going to resolve this matter? Will Boko Haram not be laughing that oh yeah, not only are we killing these individuals, but we're actually giving them, making them kill themselves, and we're waiting anxiously for the next video from Boko Haram, definitely, which will deal with this issue and taunt the Nigerian military on this issue. But it will have been much better if these individuals' sentences are commuted down to life imprisonment or others, because there is contributory negligence on this matter. I'm a firm believer that this mutiny would not have happened if these individuals, and the military establishment are doing what they're supposed to be doing. We must not excuse the behavior of these individuals, but we must highlight that their behavior raises a lot of questions about the conditions of soldiers within the military, the conditions of soldiers that are fighting this war, and the issue of post-traumatic stress that some of these soldiers are going through. And we need to ask if these guys are getting the appropriate attention and support, for them to be able to do the job that they need to do in the front line. As you know, a lot has happened in the last 3-4 years, that has revealed the workings, within Nigerian military, and not just Nigerian military, but the Cameroonian, the Niger military, the Chad military. We've seen how Boko Haram started with just audio tapes, sold on the street of Maduguri, and they've moved into the production of very sophisticated documentaries, for audiences on YouTube. They're getting thousands and thousands of us, every one of us, tuning in to listen. Now their tapes being replayed all over the world by media giants, as like CNN, like ourselves, ARL TV, like Sky News and the others. And the question we need to ask is, what are the military doing? What are the military doing, to counter this narrative, which is radicalizing Nigerian youth and other youth within West Africa to pick up arms against government? We need to look at this. Is the Nigerian military doing enough, to address the concerns, of people with regard to terrorism? Is Nigerian military, exhibiting, or more or less telling their success stories? Are they doing enough? These are issues that need to be asked. Recently, a video popped up, where a Nigerian military personnel was slaughtered, by Boko Haram members. Nothing was said about it. It was not like, the UK one where, or in America, where the American soldier or the American individual was killed, in Iraq, and the Americans went in there to do something. Nothing like that happened. There was no press release, nothing. We don't even know what happened to the family of the individual that was killed by Boko Haram. Now the question is, why is it that the Nigerian military, Cameroonian military and the others do not have an effective media campaign to try and discourage, youth, vulnerable individuals getting involved in this war? Why is it that they've not been able, to de-radicalize people through proper, effective media? Why is it that everything we have been saying here and you've been listening to on this segment had not been taken on board by the Nigerian military and other military within, West Africa to try and deal and stop, the radicalization of Nigerian youth and other youths around the world? Why is it that Nigerian military have not actually mastered, the act of counter-narrative to deal with this issue? There's a lot of reasons why. It's because they've not been using a lot of the expertise of people like ourselves in addressing this matter. But more importantly, it's because they do not have the skill set to do it properly. And that's the reason why they need to come to organizations or use, the expertise of organizations like AILTV to be able to tell their stories, because they are doing a lot of things. Within the last 2 to 3 years, more than 5,000 IEDs have been destroyed by the Nigerian security services. More than 2,000-3,000 individuals have been detained and questioned by the Nigerian security services. More than 10-15 individuals have gone through the courts and sentenced by the Nigerian court for their participation in Boko Haram activities. Now, how do you or me get to know about this? Of course, some of this information have come out through media report, but not through the Nigerian military. They've not produced a documentary on this. They've not, given us anything about how the soldiers ferry, in the war front. They've not, all we know is that, the military authorities are threatening to beat up wives of soldiers that are complaining about their husband being sent to the war front. Now, this needs to be managed properly. They need to manage their media, because recently they came out to say, "Oh, we've got rescued some of the Chibok girls," but yeah, we found out, a few hours later that the story was untrue. The military authorities came out to say, "Oh no, we've killed Shakod Abubakar, the Boko Haram leader," but yet they came back again after some few months to say, "No, he's not been killed." They've come out to say, "Oh yes, there was no mutiny," and yet after some few hours we found out that there was mutiny. Why is it that they are always getting it wrong? Why is it that they can't actually deal with this issue and deal with it effectively? These are lots of questions that the populace and people listening are watching and listening and want response to, and they are not giving that response. Nigerian military need to develop a media strategy. They need to have a proper media strategy. They need help of the diaspora, who are very good, in the use of media technology, to help them to be able to deal with this. Why is it that Boko Haram videos are all over, and nobody have actually tried to block them out like it's done in the UK and then like it's done in America? Why is it that this is happening? And I've been talking about this for many years, and yet nothing has been done. We need Nigerian military to sit up and start working with the diaspora to deal with this. And I hope that as they watch, and as many of you watch, that you will be conveying this message to them, to the Nigerian government, that they need to use the diaspora to be able to convey their message and send out the success stories of our Nigerian military. We need to support them. We need to support West Africa.